Hello, Toeic students, English lovers, English haters, it doesn't matter. Today we are going to look at 6 key phrasal verbs for Toeic and for life that will help you get a higher score. Plus, we are also going to do 5 Toeic questions and show you how to get the answer. Okay, let's start by looking at these key phrasal verbs. Number 1. Drag on. When something drags on, it continues and continues, and it lasts longer than you want. You are often bored when something drags on. Here's an example. I thought the bargaining meeting would be over at 7 p.m., but it dragged on until 9:30. Or, the cold weather dragged on for a few decades. Finally, I decided to leave Antarctica. Not a good place if you don't like cold weather. So once again, if something drags on, it continues lasts longer than you want. Now always remember, the past forms of drag are drag, dragged, dragged. Very simple. All right, number 2, fell short. If something falls short of your goals, of your expectations, it did not reach this level. It did not achieve. Here's an example. I fell short of becoming a famous actor, but at least I have this YouTube channel. Or, people said the restaurant was great, but when I went there, it fell short of my expectations. So it was not as good as I had expected. Notice when you use fall short, if you have something after, it falls short of that. So it fell short of my expectations. We fell short of our goals. Number 3, ramp up. To ramp up is increase the level, to increase the energy of something, often production. Here's an example. The medical supply company ramped up the production of masks during the COVID pandemic. So they made it more intense. They created more. They increased the level of production. Here's another example. The company is trying to ramp up interest in their product by handing out free samples. However, rubber duckies for the toilet just don't seem popular. Bad idea. Okay, number 4, rule out. Rule out is eliminate as a possibility. Here's an example. I ruled out going to the washroom at the concert when I looked at the washroom. I said, I'm not doing this. Or, unfortunately, country A has not ruled out using nuclear weapons in the dispute. So it did not say, we will not use this. Because if you rule something out, you are saying this is not a possibility. Okay, let's look at one more phrasal verb. The last one, put forward. To put forward is to present an idea or argument. You can put forward an idea, put forward an argument. An example, the junior manager put forward idea to deal with the supply chain issue. So maybe in the meeting, the junior manager presented this idea, but the senior executives dismissed it immediately. Let's look at a bonus phrasal verb. This is pan out. This is how something finishes, usually in a positive way. Here's an example. I thought the dinner was going to be a disaster, but it actually panned out. Nobody got sick, and some people actually enjoyed it. So it finished well. It's kind of the surprise ending. Or, I didn't know if the deal was going to be a good one for us. Fortunately, it panned out for us. So it worked out for us. The way it finished was positive. So let's get to the Toeic questions now. We are going to look at 5 Toeic questions and show you how easy it is to get the answer. Here's the first question. All right, we can use grammar to get this answer very quickly. First, even though and even if are adverb clause markers. They are followed by subject verb and not just a noun. The fact that subject verb is actually considered a noun. so I can use it as a subject. The fact that I answered the question shows I know what I'm talking about. So the fact that is a noun. But after even though and even if, you need subject verb. Here's an example. This is correct. Even though the strategy was seen as complicated, blah, 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 blah. But this is wrong. Even though the fact that the strategy was seen as complicated, this would be incorrect. So now we have in spite or despite. After in spite, you need of. There is no of here. You need in spite of the problem, not in spite the problem. So the answer is despite. Despite is a preposition. It is followed by a noun form. It would be wrong to say despite the strategy was seen as complicated. After despite, do not use subject verb. You need a noun. So, despite the strategy's level of complication, this is correct. There's no verb, you have a noun, level. Or, despite the strategy being seen as complicated. This is correct because you don't have a verb, you have being, which is a gerund. Or, despite the fact that the strategy was complicated. This is a noun form after despite. So, once again, the answer is D. Let's look at 121. Well, once again, grammar can help you because you can rule out D because the verb form of fell are fall, fell, and fallen. So if you had has, it would be has fallen. So now you can use context. There is more demand for the product. The company will increase production. We learned this. The company will ramp up production. So the answer is C. 111. Well, once again, read the whole sentence. If we look at the main clause, it is the ideas were often in direct conflict. So the subject is the ideas, the verb is were. So whatever is before this is a reduced adjective clause. The original sentence would be the ideas that were put forward by this junior manager were often. This is a passive adjective clause. Somebody put them forward, they were put forward. In a passive adjective clause, you can remove the marker, here, it's that, and the be verb were. So the ideas put forward by the junior manager were often blah, blah, blah. Here's another example. If I have the woman who was recently hired by the company has moved up to VP, so she was hired, so that we say who was hired, I can take out the marker, who, and the be verb was. So I can say, the woman recently hired by the company has moved up to VP. Okay, we have two more TOEIC questions. Here's 115. So the meeting continued to drag on even after every item blanked the agenda. An agenda is like a schedule or a calendar. And something is on a schedule. Something is on a calendar. So here, the answer is C. 121. Remember the verb rule out, the phrasal verb rule out. This is cancel as a choice or option. For example, I ruled out going on vacation because work was too busy. So I canceled that option. So here, the cost was going to be much too high, so the city ruled out building a new stadium. They said it's not going to happen. So we learned some phrasal verbs today, we looked at some TOEIC questions, and day by day we are improving. So please share, subscribe, like, hit that button, and best of luck with TOEIC and your English. Bye.